NFL Live on a Tuesday, which means we can talk about Monday Night Football, the Harbaugh. If you guys didn't know, Jim and John Harbaugh coached against each other last night. All right, the Ravens and Chargers on Monday Night Football. And let's get it started in the second quarter. Ravens down 10-0. First and goal from the 10. Lamar Jackson bouncing to the outside, finding his way to the end zone.
And that's the high school highlight. This is something that really worked well for this offense last night, that zone read quarterback run.
Got him cooking. 2 minutes left in the half. Same score. Ravens 4th and 1 from their own 16. John Harbaugh shrugging his shoulders. Keeps the offense out there. Mark Andrews lines up under center. What a call. Took some guts there. Oh, or cojones. Okay. Later in the drive, just over 30 seconds left in the half. 1st and 10 from the Chargers, 40. Lamar goes deep, and Rashad Bateman comes up with this one. What a throw, what a catch.
What a catch by Bateman. Through contact, making sure that he keeps his eyes on the ball and finding a way to catch it right before that. I mean, look at the fight and the concentration. For a guy that's had drops, that's a big-time catch.
Third quarter, Ravens lead 17-16, 4th and 1 from their own 39. Those key fourth down conversions just continue to be a theme for them as Derrick Henry breaks through. That's a gain of 27. He had a nice game after a couple struggling games the last 2 weeks. Later in the drive, third and goal from the 7. Lamar finds Mark Andrews. What a connection.
Yeah, outstanding by Mark Andrews climbing it. This was a beautiful defense by the Chargers. It's just better execution and playmaking by the Ravens.
Next Ravens possession after a Chargers punt, and Justice Hill. He's another weapon that this Ravens offense has that maybe doesn't get talked about enough. The Ravens win 30-23. John Harbaugh improves to 3-0 against younger brother Jim. Here's everybody talking about it after.
Coach didn't really talk about it too much. He kind of downplayed it a little bit, but I know it's a little, a little competition between the two. Glad we got the win against his brother.
I feel like, for me being a big brother, it's like I can't lose to my little brother, and that's what I believe going into that game. He was thinking a lot, and then Jim on the other side, I believe he was like, I got to beat my big brother, but we came out victorious.
Yeah, they did. And it was yet another dominant rushing performance from the Ravens. They outgained the Chargers by 129 yards on the ground. It marked Baltimore's 8th game this season, outrushing their opponent by at least 100 yards. Tied for second most by any team in its first 12 games in NFL history, trailing only the 1949 Eagles, who had 10 games. We welcome you to the show. One thing, too, J.K. Dobbins going out right before halftime. That was a big deal for the Chargers. They couldn't really match the rushing attack there. Dan Orlovsky and Andrew Hawkins, we're glad that you're with us. Dan, what did you like from the Ravens offense last night?
Trust and belief. This is a development pattern by this Ravens offense really over the course of a couple years. And I think we saw another step of it last night is Lamar trusting and believing that some of the other guys are going to make some plays. If you think about those 2 touchdown passes, the one to Bateman and one to Mark Andrews, they're not open. And Lamar, I don't believe, throws those balls often in the past, specifically in tight, big football games. But he gives those guys chances to go make plays. And credit Rashad Bateman, who I mentioned, he's had a couple drops, goes and makes an unbelievably challenging catch. And then Mark Andrews, he's a guy that he's had a rapport with for a bunch, but it's still in those moments, trusting and believing that those guys are going to make those plays. That's just another thing where you see that growth in development in not only Lamar, but the whole offense as a group.
Absolutely. And in the past game, that was made way by what happened in the trenches. The Ravens beat the Chargers in the trenches offensively and defensively, but in offense, in the past game, Lamar was only sacked once, hit twice, and in the run game, we saw the big rushing numbers, but I want to single out Daniel Falele here, who is a right guard, who we were critical of early in the season, but he's done nothing but improved game over game. And when you see these big Derrick Henry runs, you see a guy who's 6'8", 380 pounds, moving in space, pulling, creating the hole in the lane for Derrick Henry to run through. You'll see him here in the red zone, getting to the second level. Again, creating that space that Derrick Henry takes advantage of almost every single time. When you have their offensive line getting better and playing this way in the run game, and you talked about their skill players, this is a team that's going to be hard to beat down the stretch.
So that last clip you just showed, think about it if you're from the defense's perspective. They get Mark Andrews and Charlie Kolar, their 2 tight ends, down blocking. Then they get the 340, 350-pounder Falele pulling, and Patrick Ricard is leading.
Yes.
I mean, that power game, and that's the name of the play, power, is when you down block and pull. that's a handful for defenses to handle.
It's hard to defend. I mean, Dan, we have been critical of the Ravens' defense in recent weeks. Did they show you anything last night?
Yeah, they played better, okay? I thought that they rushed the quarterback better. It was nice to see Van Noy get back on and get some sacks. I thought the coverage was more connected. I thought Wiggins had some nice moments. There were 2 or 3 blown coverages again, though. Just because the ball wasn't thrown to that guy because Justin Herbert, the quarterback, didn't see it. So when you watch that all-22 copy, you walk away slightly encouraged. But if you're playing a different quarterback or an offense that maybe has different weapons.
Or some of those drops.
Is it hurt? Yeah, and the drops. So I still
point.
think that Ravens defense needs to find a way to kind of pitch a shutout when it comes to the no missed assignment, no blown opportunities or coverages.
And I would just say, too, if you're a Chargers fan and you might be discouraged about last night, there's still so many great things about that team. They're working on a rebuild. They're working on a turnaround. Sure. There's a lot to, I think, still be positive about with them.
I just think of T. Higgins.
Yeah. Oh, man. Get him. Goodness. All right. That's a good one.